every week at Business at Breakfast, one of the members gets the opportunity to share with the group a little bit about what it is that they do. Generally, I just pull someone completely out of the crowd. They don't know in advance that they're going to be a speaker. And if I highlight me and then I'll highlight somebody else, they don't know in advance, but I give you some parameters of which to speak by, and then we'll ask you a load of questions. Let me have a bit of a look. I'm just trying to work out who hasn't spoken yet. All right, we're going to go over here. Now, I know this person because we've chatted a few times, particularly in the last few weeks. So we're going to go with this one. Hello, Hilary. I know it's your first week out, but you're in the hot seat. I'm going to prove something.
Okay.
You can have absolutely no warning whatsoever, have never been to a meeting, don't really know what's going on, and I bet you're going to nail this. So here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Here's what I want you to do. I want you to give us your elevator pitch again, right? And in your elevator pitch, I know you tell us what you sell. And then I want you to give us a very fast history about how you came to sell it. Like, why do you believe in it so much that you sell it and help people with this thing? That's it. Elevator pitch plus fast history of you to the thing that you sell. That's it. Stop talking.
Okay.
We'll have questions.
Okay, great. My name is Hilary Samuel of Asleep at Last, and I am a sleep coach, and I sell sleep coaching. My services start at $97 with a Fix Your Sleep consult, and the people who buy it are entrepreneurial menopausal women. So how I came to become a sleep coach is I decided to focus on what I've always wanted to do all in my professional life, was to be a coach. And so I shifted gears from being a management consultant to a coach. And I decided to study health coaching to get started. And I am a pretty healthy person. So I love health and I'm pretty healthy. So I thought, well, what can I help people with that I have really struggled with? And the thing that I've most struggled with in my life was sleep. And it started when I was taking the wrong path in my life. And I decided to be a teacher instead of a psychologist. They weren't coaches in those days. They were just psychologists. And I started my teaching practicum. And the first night before my practicum, I couldn't sleep. And that just went on and went on and went on until it became a habit and it became ingrained in me. And then I was afraid that I couldn't sleep. And so I couldn't sleep. So I know what it's like to not be able to sleep and how awful it is, how awful it feels, how you can't function, and how hard it is to get out of that state. And it's a state of mind as well as physical habits. So I design practices to help people get out of that situation. And since then, I've also experienced other forms of sleeplessness, hot flashes, stress, all these other things that people struggle with. So I know all the different struggles firsthand and can really empathize and step in the shoes of my clients.
Excellent. Thank you. Now, who's got some questions for Hilary? Yep, Karen Birchall.
I've got a friend who recently lost her husband, and that was in March, and she has never been able to sleep more than 2 to 3 hours. So, and I think it's all the grief and all that, but I'm just interested if there's anything that you do for that.
Well, usually insomnia starts with some kind of a traumatic event, some kind of stress. So for your friend, that's, a huge, amazing, there's nothing more stressful really than losing your life partner. And so it becomes a pattern and a habit in some people. Not everybody has a trauma and then just can't sleep for a long period of time, but for some people it just becomes ingrained. And then it becomes the fear of not being able to sleep that overrides the original problem. So I would, you know, if I were to see your friend, I would help her get out of that insomnia. And what I tell people is they have unlearned sleep, and that means they can relearn sleep. And that for me was the thing that turned me around when I had insomnia. I was just like wondering why I couldn't sleep. And suddenly that thought just came right in. Wow, I've unlearned sleep. That means I can relearn sleep. And that's when I turned it around. And so that's where I start with people and then help them, guide them into what it takes to relearn getting their sleep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
People ask me about my sleep. I sleep really well because, yes, I had to teach myself to do it. And there's certain times of the year that I sleep better than any other day. So Christmas Eve, I taught myself to fall asleep super early on Christmas Eve from when I was really little. Here's why. Every second year, we drive more than 10 hours away to visit my great-grandmother. And at my great-grandmother's, we'd have like all the family members there. She put up a tent in the backyard, and it was fantastic. And then the women would say, on Christmas Eve, we're all going to midnight mass. And it wasn't that I was against church. It's just that I was for Santa. And if we're awake all night, how's any of that going to happen? So I had decided from about the age of 7 that, or younger probably, that they're never going to wake a sleeping child. Well, I've worked out they'll never wake a sleeping child on Christmas Eve, even if it's for church. And so I would just make myself go to sleep. And as a result, well, I can't say any of the women ever, for years, ever went to midnight mass, and they still sort of talk about it, but it's been one of those dreams of the idea, but nobody lasts that long. And they used to deal with all the drunk men. So they weren't getting out of the house to do it, but there you go. So yes, I did. I teach myself to sleep, and I can sleep really well anywhere at all. I'm almost narcoleptic. But it does get you out of things you don't want to do if you teach yourself how to do it. So I hear what you're saying about unlearning to learning as well. So yeah, I like that. Roger, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, I do. What I'm really interested in is two things. Number one is I'd like to understand how long it takes to teach someone to do this. How long are you taking to teach your students?
I find most people can relearn sleep in 6 weeks, but not everybody can. There's different reasons for that. People have different reasons for not being able to sleep. Sometimes it's habits, it's mental patterns, and its environment as well. So for some people, it can be up to 12 weeks. There's some people that I've had a client that took a little longer. He was also on medication. I've had a few people get off medications, but I don't do that. The doctor has to guide that part. But this particular fellow really wanted to slowly drip through the progress, and it took him 16 weeks because he was particularly concerned about letting go of his medications. So it can really vary.
How much time are you putting in with each student?
Well, what I do is I have the process really encoded from working with lots of people. So I put all that up on a self-guided program, and then I complement that with my coaching. So I give people options as to what they need. Some people need, and want more time with me as a coach, and other people are, good to go with minimal guidance. So I really give a lot of different, I have a lot of different packages that people can choose from. But generally, it's you know, if it was kind of just a standard thing that people wanted, it would be this program along with seeing me every week for 6 weeks, once a week.
Okay. Let me approach this a little different way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you have an initial consultation with them. Is that correct?
Yeah,
And how long does that take?
it's an hour. The consult is an hour.
That's
But
an hour.
but before they do that hour, they fill in a very in-depth
No,
questionnaire.
don't worry about that. So you spend an hour with the person. Yep. An hour in the consult. Yep. Roger, you got another question?
Yes. I want to follow up with how much time you spend at each stage of this with your student. With each
Can
student.
I ask Roger why you're asking these particular questions? I'm curious.
Yes, specifically, do I remember correctly, you charged $97
For the consultation, yeah.
for the consultation? Oh, that's not for what you're doing. So
No.
what does that cost?
Okay, so you really want to know the cost of the process
Program.
to.
Yeah. So pick an average.
There, we're getting
There you
it.
go. So pick an average one. See, the person, if you answer fast, they're heading somewhere. They just didn't know they hadn't said it. All right. So initial consultation, $97. All right. Pick any program. Pick like the main one. History says it takes about 6 weeks. That particular program. How much is that?
Yeah, so the 6-week program that is complemented with the self-guided is $997.
There you go.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure that she was charging enough.
That's where he's headed. He goes, oh, he was doing that. How do you make any money? Line if it takes 6 weeks. Okay. So there you go.
Sorry about that.
And that's your consult. That's all right.
Okay.
You didn't know you weren't asking the right question. All right, perfect. I like yours, Hilary.
Well, it was very interesting answering the questions and then finding out.
Yeah.
So thank you for
Straight away, I've
asking
gone,
all those questions, Roger. Yeah.
he's gone, did you read Sell Like a Rock Star? Because you've gone, why? Why are you asking? And then it got what we really needed. So there you go, just so that you can see it all happen in real life. The why question is so very important. All right, Tanya, you've got your hand up. Tanya Leschev.
Yes, I do. How much of your consult, like that 90s with that in-depth form that they have to fill out, how much of that is involved in your diet? Like I know for a fact that if you drink alcohol before you go to bed, you have a bad sleep. Do you find that there are a lot of people that it's diet related and that's why they're not getting into a good sleeping pattern?
It can be. I had a client for whom that was the main problem, not, the alcohol. But and you're right, alcohol is terrible for sleep, and it's the worst thing in particular for the dream phase of sleep, the REM phase. So I do ask questions about that. I ask, about alcohol, I ask about caffeine, I ask about what time people stops eating, what they eat, if they eat before they go to bed, because the timing is important as well. Yeah.
Because I like sleep, like I'm fascinated by how I can do it and most people can't. I get to do all sorts of things. And I have to say I am a good sleeper. And then when we moved to Chinchilla, I become an amazing sleeper. It's not to say that I don't dream. I know that if I read a book before bed, I am, like at the moment I'm reading like a Jack Reacher. So, it's a whodunit, who's shooting, who's like, and of course I'm running every night. Like I'm waking up exhausted because I'm trying to, get the bad guys and stuff like that. So there's certain movies I can't watch. So anything that's remotely scary, that's a daytime thing. I watch a drama at night. But when I moved to Chinchilla, I slept so good. And it had always been in the back of my mind. But anyhow, here's why. we moved to Chinchilla, we didn't have any stairs in our house, like not even a step to get into the front door. It's just it's just dead flat all the way in. And everywhere else we've lived, we've had stairs. And so when the boys were really little, I used to think, God, what if I fell down the stairs with the boys? Until I did. And then I know exactly what happens when you fall down the stairs. It's really bad. And then, so then I've gone, well, then how do we stop that from happening? Because I didn't know I was at the edge of the stairs. It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I thought I was in a room, but I'd already walked out of the room. So I fell down 17 stairs. So, I know, holes in walls, all sorts of drama. So it's pretty bad. So then I thought, oh, we just leave the light on. But then in my mind, and then different places have moved, I thought, leave a light on near the stairs. But then I'm like, but now it's so that everyone can see the stairs. But now there's a light on. And I know I sleep well and I can sleep with the light on. But, you know, surely that can't be good. Then we got a dog who then if I leave the light on, he's never getting darkness. Then I get worried that he's going to have an epileptic fit because he's never in the dark. And so I'm like, you know, constant concern about lights and stairs. I move here, all lights are off. I've got no concern with anyone moving around in the middle of the night. If anyone decides to sleepwalk, because there's no stairs to fall down. And then suddenly I discovered what really good sleep is. So I understand the whole, you know, things play on people's minds. And like you said, it could be diet. I'm pretty sure my mom, it's that she refuses to turn the news off. But if you got her to turn the news off, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be able to sleep because now she's anxious. She doesn't know about the news. Like she's a world of hurt one way or the other.
Well, I think that's really cool. That's the first time I've heard of someone having worrying about falling down the stairs is keeping them from sleeping. So
turning the light on, they're worried that everyone's going to have an epileptic fit because lights are never getting turned off. There's always a bit of light. So we're thinking, how do they go in Alaska? I mean, everybody doesn't walk around in summer with epileptic fits, but you know, they still try to make it dark, I believe. Where it's going to be fine. Peter Ellis, you've got your hand up.
Yes. What sort of age group do you work with?
Most of the people I work with are 50 plus. So I started off just working for, you know, I don't have an age limit or anything, but I found that most people coming to me were women and 50 plus. So
the thing is that when they get to a certain age, they often go to the toilet a couple of times during the night. And if you get them to sleep right through, that could be a problem.
Do they wet the bed?
It could be a problem.
Do they wet the
bed? I know one guy, he goes to the toilet regularly at 6 o'clock, which is fantastic, but he doesn't wake up till 7. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. So he has a continence. Well, that is a problem for men. It's just men are much more loath to get help for things. So, you know, I love working with men, but they're less likely to
you teach men to not go to the toilet as many times.
And they don't like talking about things like that. But you know, it's I'm open for whoever wants to come my way. But I advertise for entrepreneurial menopausal women because, first of all, I'm an entrepreneur, and I find the women that come to me often the reason that they really want to fix their sleep is because they have something they want to do. They have something in their life to make happen, and that's driving them. And it could be men with the same situation as well, but that's what driving them to not just sort of put that in the back seat and just live with it. They realize that if they're going to get this thing off the ground, they've got to be sharp. They've got to, you know, think clearly and have energy and all that. So that's often what drives them to getting their sleep fixed.
You made a good point in that, you know, you're an entrepreneurial woman and you're over 50, right? So menopause round about that, you know, 50-year mark, right? Is you tend to attract like for like. You tend to attract who you are. And so that's how that happens. Doesn't mean you can't work with others. It's just that you tend to attract exactly who you are because you've walked through the fire, and well, if you could just give me a few hints of the fire that's coming, you know, like it's kind of nice to have someone that can hold your hand knowing that they've done it already as well. And you did say at the very beginning, you know, like I've always liked coaching, that's what I want to do, but you know, when you worked out that there was a term for that, and then you sat there and gone, well,
Wasn't back then.
what have
Coaching
I
didn't exist.
struggled with? Yeah, what have I struggled with? That's what I'll help with, because the good coaches are the ones that have struggled with something and then they've seen it from every angle, and that's why they can coach in that space. Roger, you've got your hand up?
Yeah, again, here's the thing I'm curious about. Water currents under a home, or water currents flowing around, can cause real disturbance, like ley lines, trying to sleep on a ley line, something like that. Do you do any checking or try to figure out whether there may be an external problem?
I do, Roger, but I have not yet thought about ley lines, so thank you so much for that. So what I usually check about is electromagnetic issues. So, you know, if they're near a power line, and Misty, that might be one of the reasons you sleep so well as well, because you're way out in the middle of nowhere and there's probably not that many cell phone towers all around you, etc. And I also check about the home, and, you know, are they sleeping with their phone beside them? Do they have, you know, a modem in their bedroom? A lot of people, you know, sleep like that and they don't realize that it's really disturbing their sleep. So I definitely do look at the environmental, but I'm going to look into the ley lines. I had not thought about that one. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. And so when you check the home, you make sure they're not sleeping close to the place where the power comes into the home, correct?
Yeah. Well, the smart meter, do you have smart meters in Australia? They might call them something different. Yeah, so people have to really be careful about that, and ideally turn off, if they can, turn off their modem. Even some people are more electrosensitive than others, and some people actually turn off the breaker, like turn the breaker off, especially to the bedroom. And because there's dirty electricity that can really impact sleep as well. So
one other question I'd ask.
Yeah.
Discuss environmental illness.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And what's your question about? I didn't catch the actual question.
The question is, do you go through and examine whether they have environmental illness in addition to not being able to sleep?
I don't go into that, but I do look at all the things that can impact sleep, and some people are more sensitive to different things. So caffeine is an example. Some people can have a drink of coffee and go straight to bed, and other people can't have a drop of caffeine but still drink it, and you know, it's impacting their sleep. So there's a lot of variations that people have in their tolerance for different things. So that's how I go about it.
You're sharp. Thanks very much.
You made me think of the things that I do. Like as a mom, people would say, I know why you don't sleep well at night. You see, like, I'd say, I know why I don't sleep well, because if I don't, it's because I'm a mom. And it's funny because in my office, Simon's put this screen thing on my computer, but it used to just be black. Like when I'm not using it and it's asleep, it'd be black, but he put something on it so it shows this picture. If Terry, my big golden retriever, if he decides he's going to have a snooze under the desk while I'm in the office before I go to bed, and then he decides, yeah, I'm not moving from here, I find that I start putting things over anything that glows. I normally shut down my office, but like, I'm like, oh, little doggy, you know, he's going to have light shining somewhere, you know. But for me, I can happily sleep with the light on because it'll make me get up easier later. If it's not dark out, then, you know, I can get up easy when I want to. But it's funny. I just don't assume anyone is like me and that everyone needs dark. My youngest, we were looking at some houses a few weeks ago, and there was a particular house we were looking at, and the real estate agent said, or one of the neighbors said, well, the person that ends up in the room on that side of the house, it is closer to the highway, and so they'll get noise. So you might want to think about that. And the youngest said, that's my room. He said, the problem with the country is there's no noise. And I reckon that I'd sleep better if I could hear all the cars.
Wow.
You know,
Wow.
you kind of
Yeah.
train yourself for things, really, don't you? Like you said, it's a habit, right? It's a habit of what you want it to be. Peter Ellis, I'm going to have you as the last person to ask a question.
So
I just want to say, I've got all this equipment in my bedroom with the apartment, and I had to learn how to shut out all the light. And turning it off was a pain in the morning because it took so long to turn back on. So I had to learn to work around that. But I understand why people can't sleep with all the electrical stuff that's going on. But I had to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad to hear you did learn it.
Yeah.
Peter, yes.
just one thing, Feng Shui, which is
Mhm.
sort of what was being mentioned by Roger. If what I found when my son couldn't sleep, we changed the direction of the bed,
Mhm.
fixed.
Wow, that's cool.
So
I've
that
heard
might
that
be
if
something
your
worth
head is
looking into.
facing north, that makes a big difference.
Well, it's also whether it's
that where
facing
you
the
put-
door or facing away from the door, the side, and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. So it might
yeah,
be worth checking that out.
yeah,
It was massive, just instant difference.
fantastic. And do you happen to know if he was facing, the coordinates?
It was
where he's
facing the wrong way. I don't remember if he was
wasn't
facing
facing
his
door.
feet.
Okay, that's cool.
His feet were
Interesting.
facing the door, I think, and so
Okay,
we moved it sideways so they weren't facing the door.
very cool. Interesting.
There you
Yeah.
go.
That's cool. All right. Well, thank you, Hilary, for being our speaker today. See that? She spoke for a couple of minutes. She didn't know she was getting called upon, never been to the meeting before. And yet we had more than 20 minutes worth of questions to ask you based off that very small amount of information that you gave us. And that's the real secret to being able to speak or having someone understand what it is that you do. In today's world, since we've got Google and everybody's clever, right? The secret to sales, the secret to getting our message across, the secret to getting other people to understand is say less and let them ask questions and guide you through all the information you want to give, but in the order that they can handle it. And Hilary, you did that beautifully. So thank you so very much for being our speaker today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for the opportunity, Missy. It was fun.
You are so welcome.